This is Boomer Time, a proactive podcast for baby boomers, about baby boomers, and for people taking care of baby boomers. If that sounds like you, then you're in the right place. I'm Nancy Kogar, elder law attorney and aging advocate, and this podcast was made just for you. Remember, though, the things we discuss here are not intended to be legal advice, and no attorney-client relationship is established by this podcast. Hello out there. Oh boy, do I feel your pain. I have my china, my mother's wedding china, my grandmother's wedding china, and even some of her mother's wedding china. Yes, that's my great-grandmother, right? I'm hoping that my oldest niece is going to want all of that. Otherwise, I really think there's going to be no takers. But I love old stuff, and I become the assignee of everything old in my family. Makes sense. That's why I became an elder law attorney, right? I've got a household of antiques, beautiful wood. Even my house is old with creaking floorboards. So, like I said, I know your pain when you come to me and ask, what do I do with my house full of antiques? I paid a lot of money for all that stuff back in the day. My cherished personal belongings that I've accumulated over the years. What do I do with all that stuff as part of my estate planning? These millennials just don't want it. And they've adopted a minimalist lifestyle. And they value experiences over owning things. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. But it just doesn't help in these circumstances. They want simple. They want IKEA. Well, I'm going to have some suggestions for you today, both practical and for that estate planning. Hey, guess what? I'm also celebrating because this is Boomer Time episode 33. And we are talking about what to do with a lifetime of stuff that our kids just don't want. And I am your host, of course, Nancy Kogar, elder law and estate planning attorney, and I am so glad that you've joined me. I am hearing from more and more of you out there, and our numbers are growing, which is so exciting. You know, this is exactly what I want. I spent some time this afternoon with a group of people out in East Brainerd and just enjoyed myself. Such great questions, such nice people, and just great feedback about the podcast. And I just love hearing that. I want to build community here, and I want to share resources so we can work together to care for our seniors. And as I've said so many times here and outside of here, the silver tsunami is upon us in America. I want to be able to help. America is going to change because the baby boomers are getting older. All of us are getting older. But, you know, boomers are the folks that were born after World War II, right? Between 1946 and 1964. And we're all starting to age to get over 65. Many are starting to decline, putting pressure on our healthcare system, on our entire system. And it's just going to get worse. It's so significant that it's called the silver tsunami, like a tidal wave crashing, clearing everything in its path. And at some point, more people are going to be over 65 in this country than any other age group. And more people are finding themselves in the role of caregiver of their parents, unpaid caregiver. I'm in that role. I know a lot of you out there are in that role. And Boomer Time is about helping you through this strange new season. So today, we're talking practical. We're talking tackling what to do with all of our treasures. Maybe some of it's junk, right? AKA all that stuff we've collected over the years. It's not easy. I'm in the same boat, okay? I've got some clients, believe it or not, that have chosen to just ignore it. So bad that they're going to have to deal with it sooner or later. In fact, I've got one couple I've got one couple that moved into a new house and they left all the stuff in their old house. They just didn't want to deal with it. It just was all the stuff that was accumulating over 40 years of their marriage. It's still there. Well, that's not going to help. And I've tried to help them with that, but sooner or later we're going to have to deal with that. Today, I'm talking about starting with some baby steps, okay? And maybe doing some things to put some of your stuff to good use while you still can, okay? I think that's going to make you feel good, I promise. There's lots of good efforts out there in Chattanooga. There's people that need some of these things that you have, and we're going to talk about some of that too. Finally, I'm going to talk about how you can sort out some of these things as part of your estate plan without, and I think this is important, without spending all kinds of time and money on lawyers. Yes, like me, okay? Or creating all kinds of conflict in the future between your family members over all that stuff after you're gone. And believe me, I've seen that too. I've even seen family members fighting over old, musty, dusty Christmas decorations that had been in a crawl space for, I don't know, decades. And they're all moldy and, yep, there were 2 lawyers involved in trying to sort that out. And one of them was me. So, what do you think? Does that sound practical? Yeah, I think so. So, stay tuned. We're going to tackle all this when we come back. Welcome back. This is Boomer Time, of course, and I am your host, Nancy Kogar. Today we are talking stuff. How do we start sorting through a lifetime of stuff? Oftentimes, our younger generation has no interest in it whatsoever. Trust me, I've seen that face. I point to my father's grandfather clock adoringly, and I get the raised eyebrow and the turned up lip. Have you seen that face? I bet you have. They want no part of it. Truth is, a lot of us, including yours truly, are suffocating to a degree in stuff, right? We're not squirrels. We're not storing nuts for the winter, but we are sure squirreling away all kinds of things, even in storage facilities. Oh, I started thinking about this. Maybe I was thinking about it too much. You know what happens when you start doing that? One wise soul said, if you have to buy stuff to store your stuff, you might have too much stuff. Okay, that makes sense. So self-storage should not be the best option. But I tell you what, it is big business in this country. Check this out. This is part of my thinking when I went off the rails and thinking about this. These are recent numbers, hot off the presses from March 2024. Did you know that the self-storage industry represents a $44.3 billion industry in America? Youch. There are 52,300 facilities across the United States, and there are quite a few right around here. That is 2.1 billion square feet of space, or 6.32 square feet per person. We are spending an average of $85.14 per month on self-storage. So we are just bursting at the seams. I know I've had storage before. Do you have storage? Okay. I know I've got a basement full of stuff I need to get rid of. I might have that talk with my husband again. Oh dear. I'm just joking, people. We all have it, don't we? All right. Well, there's something we can do about it. And this is a serious topic. I don't mean to make light of it, but it always helps to have a little sense of humor, I think. We are talking about strategies to get rid of some of our stuff. And you know what? There are ways to repurpose some of this, and that's what I want to talk about. I hope you will start to consider some of these strategies before it's a must, because trust me, when I get news of someone passing away and they haven't done any planning and there is a lot of stuff, it always takes way too long to sort through all the stuff. And you don't want to spend a lot of time and effort on that. And of course, everyone involved already has a house full of stuff. So, you know what I'm saying.
Do that sentence again.
Here are a few benefits in sorting out your stuff or decluttering. It can give you clarity and peace in your space. After all, this is your sanctuary, right? 2, it may help with health issues and improve your mobility and getting around your house. This is true. I just talked with some folks this afternoon about a safety check of your house. Truth is, I've said before, mobility issues and clutter leads to falls. And that's one of the number one reasons why seniors can end up in the hospital and sometimes are not able to return home after falling. They injure themselves and can't return home. So cleaning up some of that clutter can have other benefits. 3, help to determine who may or may not want certain family heirlooms and inherited items now versus later. Trust me, that is a real benefit, and give them the chance to enjoy it sooner. That is have a family discussion about those things. 4, enable you to get rid of some of these items that you've been storing that no one wants. Trust me, I've got items for my stepchildren in my basement that are high school trophies and things that I know they don't want that I want to get rid of. If my husband's listening, he'll have a conversation with me later. 5, you'll be able to find things much more easily thereafter. I sure hope so. 6, you will have new space, hopefully not to put more stuff in. And 7, you'll be able to enjoy your home more. That's all true, isn't it? So how do you start? What are the strategies? We've talked about tackling these 3 in today's podcast. First, let's start small. Baby steps are always a good way to start and create a strategy, maybe with a room by room kind of plan of attack. You can even start smaller. Maybe have a daily 10-minute sweep, clean for 10 minutes every night, or maybe 5 minutes one night a week, or take a room every weekend, tackle 4 rooms in a month. That's a good way to do it. Start with a big box of pictures. I've got one of those. Sort through it, with your children. Maybe they want some pictures and others want other pictures. Allow them to work through the box with you. I bet that would be fun. Bring back a lot of memories, a lot of giggles. That sounds like a good time. I would do the same thing with any jewelry or other family heirlooms. Have a frank discussion with your family to determine what, if anything, they would like, or, maybe they have something specific they want you to give them. If you want to hang on to it until you pass, you can talk to them about that too. Here's the other issue. There are people that can benefit from some of your stuff. There are several organizations right here in Chattanooga that help hurting people with a fresh start. They will, help them with new homes, new households, people that have nothing. Your things can help them start over. This includes everything from, the recovery at Teen Challenge, community efforts at the Northside Neighborhood House. They've been around here for 100 years. That's just 2. There's also Bethel Thrift Store in Hickson, Chambliss Center in Chattanooga, the Samaritan Center in Ottawa. All of these are well-established nonprofits. And, donations are IRS approved, tax deductible. There's all kinds of things, you can have your items sold and help raise money towards their programs. It sounds like a perfect way to have your stuff go back to help in a direct way for the community. Why not, I think if you call them, they'll even come pick it up. It's that easy. What a blessing. You will be blessing somebody else.
Say that again. You'll be blessing somebody else.
You will be blessing someone else. That's always the way it works. And it doesn't take too much to see, you know, there are a lot of hurting folks out there. Just drive around and there are just so many people on the streets. It's so troubling. And that includes older people, you know. You don't have to work too hard. Ask the church, maybe find out who you can direct something to, who needs immediate help right now. I guarantee you that there's someone out there that needs help. I guarantee you. So, in comparison, I will tell you that oftentimes I will have antique furniture that's part of a probate. I started to talk about this earlier. And the family will want to know how they can dispose of it. Honestly, I will tell you, and this is after someone's died, of course, more often than not, that kind of property does not bring much money into the estate. And for the same reason, the mark.
For the same reason.
In comparison, I will tell you that oftentimes I will have antique furniture that's part of a probate, and the family will want to know how they should dispose of it. Should they sell it? Honestly, more often than not, it doesn't really bring that much money into the estate. And for the same reason that I've mentioned earlier, the market just is not there anymore. I have appraisers, auctioneers, etc., that help me with these type of items. And oftentimes, they just won't even mess with it because they've got too much of it already. So you might consider donating it or gifts to a charitable organization. That may give you a deduction and you're blessing somebody else that needs the help. So just food for thought. Just food for thought. So I want to turn to some legal issues involving personal property. And that is, how do you leave personal property to someone you love when you pass? That's an important question, right? Related to estate planning. So unlike money or liquid assets, personal belongings usually cannot be divided equally after someone passes. You can't divide a couch in half and can't take a lampshade and then somebody else takes the bottom. I guess you could, but I'm feeling goofy today, guys. So like I mentioned earlier, personal property can lead to disputes. Someone just is in love with mother's vase, and it's usually an emotional attachment, and those are the hard things to settle. So I saw a fight between siblings over old Christmas decorations in one probate. I told you about that earlier. For this reason, distributing possessions like furniture, jewelry, dishes, silverware, artwork, photographs, even clothing, believe it or not, is often the most difficult challenge in settling an estate. It doesn't have to be. Here's what I suggest as part of estate planning. When someone comes in to make a will and other estate planning, I suggest that they make what I call a separate personal property memorandum. It's a memorandum that's made in their own handwriting, and in it they can list items and who they want to receive them. The will in turn refers to that memorandum, and in many states the reference to the will is a separate document with detailed instructions regarding that property, and it's binding, and the list can be updated without having to change the will, although it's a good idea to check with your lawyer when you're making those changes. The truth is, these items really don't have much value most of the time. It's just the emotional value of it. And this can make distributions really difficult when someone feels emotionally attached to one item. And I've seen it. So the process can become really difficult. So you can see people just acting like kids again. So there are options, though, if you want to be creative in how people can pick items. I've seen that too. I also hear from people that they say, "Oh, my kids won't have any trouble with this." And sometimes that's true and sometimes it's not. But we'll talk more about some options for distribution. So I'm just going to take a quick breather and come back. We'll talk about that. Okay? Thanks. So here are a couple other methods for distributing personal property if you want to be creative. Some people develop a system of drawing lots. So say you have 4 children and you draw lots 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1, and so forth. So that makes the method fair. If you have a lot of valuable personal property, that may be a good idea. Say you have a lot of artwork or a lot of jewelry and you don't make specific distributions. That may be a fair and creative way to do that. And say you have a family, children that like antiques, you know, that would be a circumstance where I might recommend something like that. I think you would call that round robin. Okay, so Sally picks, and then Jane picks, and then Tom picks, and then Bill. So then, you rotate it. The next one, you can put, everybody has a color and you can put a sticker on what you want. I've actually seen this one backfire, where people remove other people's stickers and they put their stickers on it. And then you see one room is monopolized by one person's stickers. So if that works, great, have at it. But I give you a word of caution there. You can have your items appraised ahead of time. If you get appraisals, it gives you a better estimate of value of things, especially if you have some valuable items. You don't want one person walking off with the most valuable item in the estate. Maybe there's one item that's especially valuable, and then they get the one and everyone else gets the remainder. Again, most people probably wouldn't be in a situation like, just things to think about. Maybe you are. And when you do get an appraisal, usually they'll itemize property. So that's a good way to have an inventory. You might make copies, take pictures of everything or video. That might be an option for you. I wouldn't suggest time and energy on something like that if you just have regular kind of items. But again, if you've got, say you traveled the world and you've got all kinds of interesting, unique, one-of-a-kind items, that may be what you choose to do. There are all kinds of online services that can help you with the distribution of personal property. But I don't think most people need to make that kind of expense. I find that 99% of the people I deal with, that personal property memorandum is the best way to go. There's usually a handful of things that, have been promised to one person or another, and they just want to make a record of that. And that's what that's for. The rest of the items, most often, there may be some things that go to the child that is just starting out, and the rest get donated. I have never seen this happen, but I don't doubt it. Bring in a mediator. Wowee. Okay. So if there was a conflict and you need a mediator over personal property, that would be something. I don't doubt it that could happen. Like I said, I mentioned the Christmas decorations. Good news with that one was I had a good working relationship with the attorney on the other side, and we were able to sort out the issue. The issue was really with the family members, um, but I just I can't I can't imagine that, but it's available to you. So in many cases, family members use a combination of methods to come up with a fair system of distribution. Um, but I guess my bottom line kind of suggestion to everyone here is don't make it more complicated than it needs to be. Because more often than not, you've gotten the value out of your things by using them during your life. Put them to good use. Someone else may want to use them and benefit from them more often than not. Okay? There are some other resources that may be helpful to you that I wanted to pass along. And you know how I love resources, and I'm going to put these on the website as well. But there is a workbook that's available on Amazon. It's called Who Will Get Grandma's Yellow Pie Plate? And for those of you that are type A, it's supposed to be the expert guide to figuring out how you distribute your personal property. And also, you might want to check out another resource that I'll have there for you about how to spare your heirs a battle over your estate. And that's Consumer Reports. And, that's worth your attention. And that'll all be on my website, nancykogar.com. So, the fact that we're talking about how to sort through all of your belongings should really bring a realization, I know it does to me, that we are really blessed. And we have been throughout our lives to receive all these things, which, are likely the results of great memories and moments in our lives, right? And that's the true blessing in these things. At least it is for me. I had a pastor who once said to me, you've got all that crystal and, the wedding china that I mentioned when we started. Use it. Who cares if it breaks? It's better to use it and build on memories than to never use it and just have it collect dust. And I think that's a good word to meditate on as well, and there's truth in that too. If you never use something, what's the point in having it? So I wanted to close today with some thoughts on meditating on gratefulness in our lives. So I thought that was a good example of that. So that's what we're supposed to do, right? Today has enough worries of its own. So let's try to remember to be grateful. And like I said, think about your stuff. Is there somebody that might benefit from some of your things? And there's great organizations out there in the area. Give when you can. We talked about that, right? And, even if you may not realize the impact that you may have on them immediately, but more often than not, you will have a life-changing impact, more than you realize. Take time to meditate on your life, where you've been, where you are. The journey is important. Make a gratitude list during that time. Celebrate your wins. Take time to do that. I was looking over my wins over the last couple of months, and wow, what a celebration. Most of all, let's stay thankful. I know there's so much craziness out there, but you know what? I'm thankful for all of you. I'm thankful for the opportunity to be able to share with you each week. We're going to make it through. And you know what? I'm going to be here for you. So, thank you for listening today. I'm glad to be here with you, and I hope you found this helpful. Let me know. Reach out to me at nancykogar.com. Let me know what you think of the podcast. Maybe that'll be part of a future show. I'll share what you said. I always want to know what you said. And maybe you have an idea for a future show. Well, and hey, if you reach out to me, maybe you can sign up for my newsletter, Elder Law News You Can Use. Hey, we're available on Instagram. And you know what? I might even be able to help you with your own estate planning or downsizing. Reach out to me at nancykovar.com. And don't forget that our podcast is available on the website at Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So we'll see you next time. Thanks so much for listening. And this is Boomer Time. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.